After I became mentally impaired from a car accident, my wife couldn't bear the loneliness and began bringing different men home every day. After a car accident, I became mentally impaired, and my wife, Ching Ching's heart changed as well. She started bringing different men home every night, shamelessly being intimate with them right in front of me, and even allowing these strangers to abuse and beat me. When I hysterically lost control, she angrily accused me. Ming Yunfei, can you stop acting like a child having tantrums? I'm human too. I get tired. I need love. I have my own needs. You've already become mentally impaired. It's already merciful that I haven't abandoned you. Do you expect me to remain chaste for you my entire life? But what she doesn't know is that when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, I voluntarily pawned my intelligence in exchange for her health. The pawn shop stipulated that as long as I remained mentally impaired for 3 years, her cancer would be completely cured and never return. Only 3 more days until the full 3 years. But I've changed my mind. I want to redeem what I've lost. 3 years ago, I was in a car accident. While unconscious, my soul suddenly entered a pawn shop. The female pawn shop owner asked if I was willing to pawn my intelligence. If I was willing to lose my ability to speak, control my facial expressions, and care for myself for 3 years, drooling like a child, being completely foolish, Ching Ching's breast cancer would be completely cured. It would only take 3 years, and then I could return to normal. For Ching Ching's sake, I agreed without hesitation. When I woke up, Ching Ching's breast cancer was miraculously cured. After discovering I had become mentally impaired, she didn't despise me. Instead, she stayed by my side, raising money everywhere to take me to doctors. But by just the second year, she changed. She no longer took me to seek medical help, and started leaving early and returning late, sometimes not coming home at night. This is the 3rd year of my feigned stupidity, and now she openly brings different men home. While lost in thought, I heard the door click open. Ching Ching had brought home another new man. They couldn't wait and began embracing and nuzzling each other right in front of me at the doorway. The man glanced at me sitting dazed in the living room, raising his lips mockingly. Ching Ching, your husband is still watching us. Ignore him. Ching Ching gave me a dismissive glance. He's an idiot who doesn't understand anything. Just let him watch. I stared at them blankly, my heart feeling as if it were being pierced by needles. Yes, I'm an idiot. Even though my mind is clear, I've lost my normal ability to speak and control my facial expressions. Even witnessing her infidelity firsthand, I can't utter a complete sentence, can't make an angry expression, can't denounce their behavior. I can only watch them foolishly like a child. I clenched my fists tightly, yet my eyes reddened from extreme anger. Seeing this, the man frowned. Ching Ching, your husband is crying. Are you sure he doesn't understand anything? Since he became a fool, he's been like a child, crying often. I'm used to it. Ching Ching said carelessly. She let go of the man, took out a small cake from her bag, walked directly to me, and lowered her voice to coax me. Yunfei, I bought you a cake. Why don't you go to your room and eat it? When I first became foolish, Ching Ching often used cakes to cheer me up. Even though I couldn't express my suffering, with her companionship, I still found sweetness in my days. But now, looking at the cake before me, I only felt bitter irony. I couldn't accept her betrayal. Using all my strength, I knocked the cake from her hand and stubbornly grabbed her hand, crying incoherently like a child. Yunfei cake, no. Ching Ching, don't stay with him, stay with me. Enough. Ching Ching impatiently pushed me away. Ming Yunfei, can you stop acting like a crazy child all the time? I'm really fed up. I'm a person too. I get tired, I need love, I have my own needs. You're already impotent. Can't you at least let me find someone else to relieve my loneliness? After saying this, she resolutely entered the room with her arm around the man's waist, and I stumbled and fell to the floor. My knee hit the coffee table, breaking the skin and bleeding, with piercing pain spreading deep into my heart. Soon after, ambiguous and embarrassing sounds of heavy breathing came from the room. My mind was completely clear, and each gasp was like a sharp blade, severely wounding my heart. I had experienced scenes like this many times. Each time, I wanted to rush in and throw a hysterical fit, but my actions were no longer controlled by my brain. My legs felt as if they were filled with lead, and I couldn't summon any strength at all. I could only stand by the door like a child, staying awake the entire night. Having lost control of bodily functions, I became incontinent, with excrement and urine all over the floor. The next morning, when the man opened the door and encountered me in my filthy state, he covered his nose in disgust and shouted angrily, "You idiot! Go to the bathroom if you need to relieve yourself. How disgusting to do it by the doorway." I stared at him blankly, using all my strength to utter, "I'm not. Disgusting. You're disgusting." The man flew into a rage and viciously kicked me. "How dare a fool like you insult me? Are you tired of living?" With a grim face, he began punching and kicking me violently. Unable to fight back, I could only endure the beating. Ching Ching stood at the doorway, watching me being beaten witout showing any concern. I was beaten for a long time until blood began to seep from my forehead. Only then did he Ching call out to the man, "That's enough, Howe. He's just an idiot who doesn't understand anything. Don't bother arguing with an idiot." The two of them left. They left me alone, bruised and filthy, lying face down on the ground. The pain in my heart was like ocean waves, almost engulfing me completely. At this moment, I began to regret my earlier decision. Was my selfless sacrifice really worth it? Just then, the voice of the pawnshop's female owner suddenly appeared in my ear. "Meng Yunfei, we've detected wavering in your resolve. Are you considering redeeming what you pawned?" I was stunned for a moment, then asked hoarsely, "If I redeem it, what will be the consequences?" "Your wife's breast cancer will recur and become completely incurable." I hesitated for a long time. In the end, I shook my head. "I won't redeem it. He Ching and I have been together for exactly 10 years, from university until now. In the past, she was very good to me. Not only did she not mind that I was poor, but she also married me without hesitation when I was at my lowest point. When I once drank so much while doing business that I had a gastric hemorrhage, she unhesitatingly donated 800 milliliters of blood to save my life. We should have had a child, but because of that blood donation, she miscarried. However, He Ching said she never regretted it. In her heart, my health was always the top priority. She used to truly love me. But love, too, cannot withstand every test. After 3 years, her debt of gratitude to me was repaid, and we would owe each other nothing more. He Ching stopped frequently bringing different men home, and instead started bringing only Cheng Haowei home every day. They seemed to have developed feelings for each other, no longer simply alleviating loneliness. They often shamelessly displayed affection and flirted in front of me. At first, I would break down and become angry. But as it happened more often, I gradually became numb to it. Even when Cheng Haowei repeatedly mocked me, I became indifferent. In just half a month, it would be 3 full years. I slowly counted the days, looking forward to getting out unscathed. But in the end, I wavered. On He Ching's 28th birthday, she brought Cheng Haowei home again. Cheng Haowei personally cooked for her. When he opened the refrigerator, he found a box of frozen meat. This box of frozen meat was the 3-month-old embryo that He Ching had miscarried. At that time, we were extremely reluctant to part with it, and carefully preserved it. But now, Cheng Haowei put the embryo into the hot oil. By the time I sluggishly walked into the kitchen, he had already turned the embryo into stir-fried meat with chili peppers. I couldn't accept it, completely broke down, and with bloodshot eyes, I raised my fist and hysterically charged at him. "You bastard." But I moved too slowly and was no match for Cheng Haowei. Before my fist could touch him, he kicked me hard and sent me tumbling to the ground. He Ching heard the commotion and immediately ran into the kitchen. "Haowei, what's wrong?" Cheng Haowei kicked me again and cursed. Ching, it's one thing that your husband is stupid, but why does he keep going crazy for no reason?" He Ching turned and scolded me. "Meng Yunfei, if you keep acting like this, I won't take care of you anymore." I lay on the ground, my eyes bloodshot, my chest heaving violently with anger. I glared intensely at Cheng Haowei, raised my trembling hand, pointing at the stir-fried meat in the bowl, and with great effort, mumbled, "Why? Why did you fry it? Don't you know, this is my child?" He Ching couldn't believe what I said. Her pupils shook. "Yunfei, you." Her shock was interrupted by Cheng Haowei. "I know, so what?" Ching agreed to let me fry it. "I heard this thing is very nutritious." Cheng Haowei's face was full of smug satisfaction, his tone filled with mockery. I looked at He Ching in disbelief, my heart feeling as if it had been torn in two, with piercing pain washing over me. She had once shed many tears for this child, but now, she could be so heartless. I opened my mouth in grief and anger, using all my strength, but could no longer utter a single word, only making painful, ee-woo-woo sounds. Cheng Haowei glanced at me mockingly, suddenly picked up the dish bowl from the stove, slowly squatted down, and grabbed my hair. "Idiot, since you care so much about this dish of meat, then eat it all. It'll be good for you, you fool. Maybe after eating it, you won't be so stupid anymore." After saying this, he grabbed the meat from the bowl and viciously stuffed it all into my mouth. He Ching watched with her own eyes, without making any attempt to stop him. After stuffing in all the meat from the plate, Cheng Haowei flung me away in disgust. "How annoying. Ching, let's go eat outside. Don't bother with this idiot." He Ching followed him without hesitation. I frantically dug out the stuff from my mouth, feeling nauseous in my stomach, and vomited violently. I awkwardly sprawled on the ground, tears unconsciously sliding down from my eyes. He Ching's heartlessness made me feel desperate. I couldn't hold on anymore. Suddenly, the voice of the pawnshop's female owner echoed in my ears. "Meng Yunfei, your resolve has wavered again. Do you want to redeem your pawned item?" After a moment of silence, I replied hoarsely, Yes, I want to redeem it. The pawnshop owner suddenly sighed. Only 3 days left. I suggest you hold on a little longer. Don't let these 3 years of effort go to waste. I clenched my fists tightly and bit my lip hard. My lip was bitten until it bled, filling my mouth with striking crimson blood. In the end, I still chose to compromise. In the evening, Ching returned, satisfied after her meal and drinks. Remembering my unusual behavior during the day, she sat on the edge of my bed and tentatively asked, Yunfei, are you no longer silly? Have you returned to normal? I lay in bed clutching my blanket, my eyes hollow, constantly mumbling, Yunfei not silly. Yunfei not an idiot, not. Ching was greatly disappointed. She suddenly glared at me resentfully, her eyes full of rage, hysterically shouting, You are an idiot. Meng Yunfei, you idiot wasted my youth, ruined my life. How will you ever make it up to me? I stared at her blankly, my heart in excruciating pain. I had saved her life, yet in her eyes, I had become the person who ruined her life. How ridiculous. 3 years of selfless devotion, and this was the reward I received. The next morning, Ching left early. After she left, the house was once again empty, suffocating, and depressing. Since becoming mentally impaired, I had always stayed at home alone, never going out by myself. Today, I suddenly felt like going outside for a walk as well. Looking confused and walking clumsily, swaying back and forth, I attracted stares and whispers from many passers-by along the way, but I paid no attention to them. When passing by a secluded stream, I unexpectedly saw 2 familiar figures. On the wide grassland, covered with crimson, gorgeous roses, brilliant fireworks bloomed across the horizon, dazzling and enchanting. Cheng Haowei held flowers in his hands, kneeling on one knee, passionately proposing to Ching. Ching, dump that fool and marry me. I will protect you for a lifetime. Ching, with tears in her eyes, nodded with emotion. Haowei, I will. This scene pierced my eyes painfully. I was furious, angry that my sincerity had been betrayed, angry that these 3 years of devotion had been mercilessly trampled upon. Suddenly, as if going mad, I staggered forward, ripped out all the roses at the scene, kicked over the fireworks that were being lit, and left the proposal site in complete disarray. Cheng Haowei flew into a rage, grabbed me by the collar, and viciously threw a punch at me. Meng Yunfei, you idiot. How dare you destroy the proposal ceremony I carefully arranged? Do you have a death wish? Cheng Haowei pinned me to the ground, punching and kicking me while cruelly mocking. Meng Yunfei, are you really stupid, or just pretending? Can't even an idiot accept that he's been cheated on? But what good does your anger do? You can't even take care of yourself. You can't give Ching a future. Only I can protect her now. I was firmly pinned down by him, beaten until my face was bruised and bloody, completely unable to fight back. Ching watched me being beaten with her own eyes. Not only did she not try to stop it, but the look in her eyes towards me was full of disgust. Finally, Cheng Haowei tied me up in my disheveled state and threw me by the riverside. Ching, push this idiot in. Ching stared in shock. Haowei, are you crazy? Cheng Haowei curled his lips mockingly, his eyes flashing with ruthless light, coaxing her. Ching, haven't you been tired these 3 years? If he dies, you can be completely free. Besides, there's no one here, nobody will find out, and you're planning to marry me anyway, so why not let him disappear completely? The way he is now, so foolish and stupid, unable to take care of himself, living is just suffering for him. He might as well be dead. Ching seemed to be moved by his words, her mouth slightly open as she stood frozen, her hands trembling gently. After a long while, she slowly walked toward me lying by the riverside. In her eyes, there was a look full of hesitation and doubt. I looked at her with bloodshot eyes, still clinging to a glimmer of hope that her conscience wasn't completely gone, that she wouldn't leave me to die. But in the end, she closed her eyes briefly and reached out her hand toward me. Yunfei, don't blame me. You've been mentally impaired for 3 years, and I've taken care of you for 3 years. During this time, I've broken down countless times. I truly can't go on anymore. Perhaps death will be a release for you too. After saying this, she mercilessly pushed me into the bottomless river. The icy river water engulfed my entire body, and a suffocating sensation instantly wrapped around my chest. It felt as if an invisible hand was tightly squeezing my lungs. An overwhelming wave of pain struck, leaving me utterly hopeless. In my moment of despair, the pawnshop owner's voice sounded in my ears again. Meng Yunfei, I've detected a severe wavering in your mindset. Do you want to redeem your possession? I regretted it. She was no longer the woman who once loved me with all her heart. In just 3 short years, I had completely seen through her true nature. I had no reason to persist anymore. Yes, I want to redeem what belongs to me. All right, since you're redeeming the pawned item before the 3-year period is complete, your wife's breast cancer will recur effective immediately. As Ching and Cheng Haowei were about to leave, I forcefully broke free from my restraints and desperately swam to the shore. Seeing me reach the shore, Cheng Haowei was utterly shocked. Ching, wasn't he mentally impaired? How can he still swim? When He Qingqing saw my grim expression and somber demeanor, she was visibly startled. This long-absent yet familiar look in my eyes made her heart skip a beat. Yunfei Yu, drenched from head to toe, I walked toward He Qingqing with a dark expression. Staring into her shocked eyes, I enunciated each word clearly. He Qingqing, I never knew you could be so ruthless. 10 years of love, and it couldn't withstand this test. I devoted myself wholeheartedly to you, yet you tried to have me killed. The color drained from He Qingqing's face. Yunfei Yu, you've recovered? Yes, I am better now. I looked at her with a cold smile, my voice full of mockery. He Qingqing, I'm not a fool. I didn't die. Are you very disappointed? No, it's not like that. He Qingqing looked flustered and hastily tried to explain. Yunfei, I didn't truly want you to die. I was just momentarily possessed. Stop making excuses. I glared at her, with an icy coldness in my eyes. He Qingqing, are you still treating me like a fool? Do you really think I don't understand anything? I've seen all your actions. I've already recognized your true face. From now on, all ties between us are severed. We have no relationship whatsoever. After saying this, I turned and left. He Qingqing immediately chased after me. With bloodshot eyes, she grabbed my wrist and anxiously asked, Yunfei, when did you get better? Was it last time? When Hao forced you to eat that plate of meat? I felt something was off about you then. Why didn't you tell me when you recovered? Why did you hide it from me? Do you know how many tears I've shed for you these years? I've been suffering too. I angrily shook off her hand, nearly grinding my teeth. He Qingqing, stop pretending to care. I won't believe another word you say. It's over between us. I walked away with firm determination. He Qingqing, thrown off balance by my forceful gesture, trembled and fell to the ground. Cheng Haowei immediately ran over to help her up. As she rose, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest, like being pricked by needles, which lasted for quite a while. After a long moment, the pain gradually subsided. Cheng Haowei frowned, his face full of concern. Qingqing, what's wrong? He Qingqing brushed away Cheng Haowei's hand that was trying to support her. After hesitating for a long time, she sighed. Haowei, let's break up. What did you say? Cheng Haowei couldn't believe it, hastily asking. Qingqing, you already accepted my proposal. Why do you suddenly want to break up? He Haowei. He Qingqing interrupted him sternly. Didn't you just see? Yunfei has returned to normal. He's not mentally impaired anymore. He's a normal person now. Yunfei is my husband. What we had was a mistake from the beginning. Now that he has recovered, we should end things between us. Why? Then what was all the love we shared during this time? What about all those times you said you loved me? Call it me going back on my word if you want. Cheng Haowei, the person I love most is Yunfei. I've waited 3 years to finally see him recover. So how could I possibly continue entangling with you at this point? After saying this, she ignored Cheng Haowei's repeated pleas and resolutely walked away. After leaving the riverside, I returned home. I changed into clean clothes, then pulled out my suit case and began to pack my belongings one by one. I no longer wanted He Qingqing, and I didn't want to stay in this home where we had lived together for many years. After packing everything, I left a divorce agreement on the table, then dragged my suitcase and left. As I reached the doorway, I saw He Qingqing rushing back hurriedly. Yunfei, what are you doing? She anxiously blocked my way, her eyes red at the corners, her tone pleading. Please don't go, okay? I'm sorry, it was my fault. I shouldn't have been so misguided as to try to drown you. I thought you would never get better. I just wanted to end your suffering. Yunfei, you can hit me or scold me, but please don't leave me. I've waited so long for you to return to normal, I can't lose you again. Before she could finish speaking, she was already covering her face, sobbing in pain. I sighed and gently brushed away her hand. He Qingqing, there's no point in saying more. Let's part on good terms. Dragging my suitcase, I left without looking back. He Qingqing collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down her face. Suddenly, a sharp, stabbing pain returned to her chest, like being pierced by a needle. It lingered for a long time, identical to the symptoms she had experienced when she previously had breast cancer. Alarmed, she put aside her grief and immediately took a taxi to the hospital. After a series of examinations, she was diagnosed with recurrent breast cancer, late stage, with metastasis to the lungs. The doctor said treatment would be very difficult and would cost at least 500,000 yuan. He Qingqing's world came crashing down. She couldn't believe it. Just 3 years ago, the doctors had declared her completely cured. How could it suddenly recur? Was this heaven's punishment for her being heartless and unfaithful? Unable to accept this reality, He Qingqing clutched the medical report tightly in her hands, crouched on the ground, and wept uncontrollably. She couldn't understand why, at only 28 years old, her life had to be so full of hardship. After crying for a long while, she took out her phone and began trying to call me. She thought to herself, at this time, no matter how big our grudges might be, I am sure you wouldn't leave me to face this alone. But my phone rang for a long time, yet no one answered. When she tried calling again, the phone was turned off. He Qingqing was devastated, hysterically smashing her phone, kneeling on the ground and sobbing uncontrollably. With nowhere else to turn, she finally had to go find Cheng Haowei. She no longer had her previous resolute attitude and spoke nicely to Cheng Haowei. Haowei, I'm sorry, I was too harsh yesterday. I regret it. I shouldn't have cut ties with you. Actually, I still have feelings for you. Cheng Haowei was extremely excited and pulled her into an embrace. Qingqing, I knew it. I knew I was still the one you loved most. He Qi Ji hugged him back, sniffled, and carefully said, Haowei, I went to the hospital for a checkup yesterday. The doctor said my breast cancer has returned. The treatment will cost 500,000. Could you help me? Cheng Haowei's body stiffened. After a moment, he released her and pretended to comfort her with concern. It's okay, Qingqing. Don't worry. With me here, your illness will definitely be cured. I will stay by your side the whole time. He Qingqing breathed a sigh of relief internally. She naively believed that Cheng Haowei would truly never leave her side. The next day, Cheng Haowei took her to a larger hospital in the city for a more comprehensive examination. The examination results were no different from before, late-stage breast cancer with lung metastasis. When he heard the doctor say a total mastectomy was needed, Cheng Haowei's expression instantly changed. He immediately released He Qingqing's hand and turned to walk out. Haowei, where are you going? He Qingqing grabbed him. Cheng Haowei's face showed disgust as he spat contemptuously. He Qingqing, your breast will be removed. You won't even be a complete woman anymore. What use are you to me? I'm leaving. If you need money for treatment, go find Meng Yunfei. He's your husband. I won't take care of you anymore. He Qingqing stared at him in disbelief and anger. Cheng Haowei, you clearly promised yesterday that you would never leave me. Cheng Haowei raised the corner of his mouth in mockery. When Meng Yunfei became an idiot, didn't you also promise to never leave him? What happened? He was your husband, and you could heartlessly try to kill him. So how can you expect a mere lover to stand by you through everything? He Qingqing stood frozen in place, as if struck by lightning. She had no way to refute his words. She could only watch helplessly as he walked away. After Cheng Haowei left, she collapsed onto the floor and broke into heart-wrenching sobs. She suddenly remembered that when she first got breast cancer, it was I who emptied my savings for her treatment, stayed by her side without abandoning her, and took meticulous care of her until her condition gradually improved. But now I was gone. She deeply regretted. She regretted being so heartless back then, severely hurting my feelings. She regretted her past actions deeply. She couldn't lose me. She was determined to win back my heart. He Qingqing found the place where I was renting, and that afternoon, she intercepted me on my walking path, looking distraught. Yunfei. Her eyes were red, her voice choked with emotion. I've finally found you. I didn't intend to acknowledge her and turned to leave, but she grabbed my wrist. Yunfei, don't go, listen to me. What else do you want to say? I gave her a slight glance. He Qingqing's eyes were filled with tears as she spoke with a hoarse voice. Yunfei, I was wrong in the past. I shouldn't have betrayed you, nor should I have believed Cheng Haowei's slander and tried to end your life. Actually, I do love you. I just couldn't accept you becoming foolish and simple-minded, and in a moment of confusion, I made a terrible mistake. Yunfei, I regret it all. Can you forgive me this once? Huh. I just found it laughable. He Qingqing, after what you did to me, how dare you ask for my forgiveness? He Qingqing's tears fell in large drops, pattering down one after another. For the sake of our years of marriage, can't you forgive me just once? Yunfei, my breast cancer has recurred and reached the late stage. The doctor says I need a total mastectomy, and the treatment will cost 500,000. I have nowhere else to turn. Can you really bear to watch me wait for death? Despite He Qingqing's tearful plea, I was no longer moved. I brushed her hand away, stared directly into her bloodshot eyes, and said coldly, He Qingqing, do you know how I became a fool? During that car accident 3 years ago, my soul accidentally entered a pawn shop. I pawned 3 years of my intelligence to the pawn shop owner, just to exchange for your lifelong health. He Qingqing's pupils constricted, her face filled with disbelief. I gave a cold sneer and continued, for 3 years, your illness was cured, but I became a fool. I thought with our feelings for each other, you would surely stand by me through thick and thin. But what happened? How did you treat me? For 3 years, though my behavior was foolish, my mind was perfectly clear. I witnessed with my own eyes as you betrayed me time and again, as you looked on coldly, allowing your lover to beat me, and even tried to have me killed. Each time, my heart was cut like a knife, bleeding profusely. Qingqing, my selfless devotion was repaid with your cold-blooded heartlessness. How can I possibly forgive you? When I finished speaking, Qingqing was already in tears. Her face filled with remorse as she shook her head frantically. I'm sorry, Yunfei, I was wrong. I was terribly wrong. I deserve to die. Please forgive me? Give me one last chance, I'm begging you. I've already given you many chances. Every time I was about to give up, I thought of our years together and convinced myself to hang on a little longer. But what about you? For the sake of running away with Cheng Haowei, you actually tried to kill me with your own hands. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He ching, do you know? In just 2 more days, your breast cancer would have been completely cured, never to return. But I changed my mind. I redeemed what I had lost from the pawn shop owner. I returned to normal, and your cancer has returned with no possibility of a cure. This is heaven's punishment for you. After saying these words, I left without mercy. He ching crouched on the ground, overwhelmed with regret, crying her heart out. But no matter how much she regretted it now, there was no chance to make amends. He ching's parents had died early, and now I had left her too. Today, she could only face cancer alone in her desolation. Without any source of income, she could only survive by borrowing online loans. She had undergone a total mastectomy, losing what made her a woman. The days of treatment were painful and unbearable. She endured tremendous suffering, countless times wanting to give up, yet had to grit her teeth and persevere. But even after enduring such torment, her illness could not be cured. After some time, her cancer cells metastasized to her liver, rapidly consuming what remained of her life. Her entire body had withered to a skeletal frame, her diseased bones fragile, with little time left. He ching began to self-destruct, abandoning treatment, spending her days in a drunken stupor, drinking herself into oblivion. In her intoxicated state, she blamed all her hatred on Cheng Haowei. She stubbornly believed that if Cheng Haowei hadn't encouraged her to push me into the river to drown, I wouldn't have abandoned her in despair, her illness wouldn't have recurred, and she wouldn't have ended up in such a desperate situation. In her moment of most intense hatred, she tucked a bottle of sulfuric acid into her pocket and viciously stormed into Cheng Haowei's home. Program Haowei, who was in the heat of passion with his new lover, was startled by He Ching's sudden intrusion. He glared at her with a dark face and cursed. He Ching, what's wrong with you? We're already over. Why are you still coming to my home? Program Haowei, you heartless man. You used to claim you loved me, but as soon as I got cancer, you immediately abandoned me. We've only been separated for how long? And you're already finding other women. Program Haowei spat and cursed. He Ching, are you sick in the head? You have a husband and a family. I was just your lover. We were using each other for our needs. Why should I be responsible for you? And what right do you have to interfere with my love life? He Ching's eyes were filled with fury, her chest heaving violently with anger. She angrily rushed forward and slapped Program Haowei hard across the face. If it weren't for you enticing me to drown Yunfei back then, how would Yunfei have become disappointed in me? You ruined my marriage. How dare you think you can walk away unscathed? Cheng Haowei covered his reddened face where he'd been slapped, grinding his back teeth as he said through clenched teeth. He Ching, who do you think you are? How dare you slap me? Slap you? He Ching suddenly smiled eerily. I'm not just going to slap you. I'm going to kill you. With that, she quickly pulled out a bottle of sulfuric acid from her pocket and splashed it toward Cheng Haowei. Caught completely off guard, Cheng Haowei was suddenly drenched by He Ching. Oh! A horrific scream echoed throughout the entire floor. Cheng Haowei's new lover was terrified, her face drained of color as she abandoned him and stumbled away. He Ching's eyes blazed red as she laughed hysterically like a madwoman. Ha 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 ha. Cheng Haowei, now you've got what you deserve. If I die, you won't live well either. You're going to hell with me. I was planning to go to a new city to start a new life. While I was preparing my luggage, He Ching suddenly burst into my rented place. She reeked of alcohol, her hair disheveled, muttering like a madwoman. Yunfei, I threw sulfuric acid all over Cheng Haowei. I made him pay too. Now can you forgive me? In the short time since I'd last seen her, the woman before me seemed like a completely different person, emaciated to just skin and bones, withered and deranged. With tears streaming down her face, she begged me desperately. Yunfei, I truly know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Will you? I'm begging you. Give me one more chance. I let out a sigh. The woman I once loved with all my heart had become like this. No matter how cold-hearted I tried to be, I couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy. But that was all it was, just melancholy. He Ching, you should go. There's no possibility between us anymore. Let's part on good terms. No. He Ching's voice trembled as she pleaded with me humbly. Yunfei, can you please not be so cruel? After all, we've been together for so many years, and I even saved your life back then. During those 3 years when you were mentally impaired, although I betrayed you, I still sincerely took care of you for 3 years. You can't erase all of my dedication just because I was momentarily confused and made a small mistake. Before she could finish speaking, a large group of police officers suddenly burst in through the doorway. Miss He Ching, we've received a report that you deliberately harmed someone by throwing sulfuric acid. Please come with us for investigation. He Ching's hands were cuffed by the police. Before being taken away, she looked at me with tear-filled eyes, her lips trembling constantly. Yunfei, I'm about to go to prison, and you still won't forgive me? That's right. I stared into her eyes and declared firmly, He Ching, the harm you've caused me is something I can never forgive in this lifetime. She stared at me blankly, her eyes filled with utter despair. Huh. She laughed self-mockingly. Before she could say anything more, she was ruthlessly taken away by the police. For the crime of intentional assault, she was eventually sentenced to 12 years in prison. As for Ching Haowei, because his injuries were so severe, both his hands had to be amputated, his entire face was disfigured, and he lay in the ICU for months without being out of danger. But all of this no longer had anything to do with me. Alone, I took my luggage and went to a new city. I found a new job and started a new life. After adjusting for a while, I was successfully promoted with a raise, becoming a department manager. Everything was developing in a positive direction. One day, 6 months later, I suddenly received a phone call. The familiar voice on the phone was trembling and weak. Yunfei, I'm receiving medical treatment outside prison. My condition is getting worse, and I don't have much time left. Could you come to the hospital to see me? See me one last time? I'm begging you, please don't let me die with regrets, okay? After a moment of silence, I resolutely replied, I won't come. Don't wait for me. Without waiting for her response, I quickly hung up the phone. 3 days later, I received another call. It was from the prison. The prison guard told me, Mr. Meng, your wife, He Qingqing, passed away at the hospital this morning at 7:40. When do you have time to come and handle her funeral arrangements? I paused for a moment, then coldly replied, I'm busy with work and don't have time to come. Just handle her funeral however you want, scatter her ashes in the sea, and don't call me again. After saying this, I hung up the phone. The past is past, let it fade away with the wind. Now I have a new life, reborn from the ashes,